Good evening, good evening, good evening. We're here, we're back. Another fireside. So, what have we got this evening? This evening we have the wonderful James Mitchell from Chilliscrumptious, and we have Mark Filshy from La Mole, Hot Sauce and Jerky. So, kicking off, we're going to be bringing James in. Don't forget, you can put any questions, any comments in the chat there. Make sure you've given StreamYard permission. Otherwise, you come up as the ubiquitous Facebook user. Nobody likes a user. No, be yourself. Yeah. Make sure you've given it permission. So, good evening to everyone. And we're going to kick off the evening with James. Hi, James.
Hey guys,
how are you?
I'm absolutely great, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, loving it. It's Friday.
Oh no, weekend is literally there. It's at the grasp.
Nipping at the heels.
It is, mate. Definitely.
Okay, so what we're going to do, as usual, we're going to go through some questions. The obvious one to start with. What is behind the name Chilliscrumptious, and what gave you the idea to start Chilliscrumptious?
Yeah, now this is the funny one. So Chilliscrumptious, when that first began, it was like a food blog. So obviously I'm a big fella. I love my food. And I went through a stage of growing different peppers and stuff and creating new dishes, which I would then take a photo of and stick on Instagram. And I started thinking called the Chilliscrumptious taste. Obviously, I like chilies, I love scrumptious food. I put it together and it worked. And it was about a year or so after that when we decided, when we were asked to make some sauces for a few friends. And so we said, keep the name Chilliscrumptious. I know you're only using it as a blog, but what about a company name? And I wasn't too sure because Chilliscrumptious, it's a little bit hard to spell for some people, but it's also a long one. So when it comes to like a website, www.chilliscrumptious.co.uk, it's a lot of typing. But to be honest with you, I wouldn't change it. I absolutely love the name. I love the logo. It's a fantastic brand, really is.
A little hint for anybody watching: if you add Chilliscrumptious to your spell check, you'll never get it wrong. I've done that.
That's true. Yeah, that's because I paid Google a lot of money to put it in there.
So when you kicked off Chilliscrumptious, for those that haven't seen the website, do you want to go through? I think you've got your first 3 products on there, haven't you?
Yeah. So the main 3 products, the 3 products we kind of started Chilliscrumptious with, which was our barbecue and Java one, which is the Java Hot. Originally it was just going to be called Java, but our amazing artist put hot on the label, so it became Java Hot, which isn't even hot. It's quite mild, quite easy for kids. I used to say it was the best sauce you could use at a barbecue if you got children there, because it's not going to blow you away. It's only got a little bit of Scotch bonnet in it, so it's nothing over the top. And then we did the Naga. Now the Naga is the first sauce professionally when we started the company that we first made. So before that there were loads of different concoctions and stuff, but this one seemed to be the better one for the customer because it could be used in a range of different dishes. So it made more sense to produce that one as a selling point. And that's what we did. So this was our Naga one, as you can see here, which is the orange, blood orange and carrot sauce. I don't like using thickening agents. I'm one of these. I hate sweeteners. I hate using a lot of preservatives and stuff. Now we do use vinegar just to keep it down, the pH level. But carrots is the thickening agent. Yeah. So instead of sticking some gum in there, I stuck carrots in there because you're getting more nutrition, you're getting more flavour, and then you're getting the heat from the Nagas. It's a perfect sauce. Personally, anyway, I like it. That's the reason why I make it.
So what was the third one? Because you had
the third one after that was the first date. Now, the first date has a little story to it, but This is the first date one, so it's a garlic sauce. I've got to remember the camera does it slightly different here. First date is our garlic and beetroot sauce with a lot of Scotch bonnet in it. That's the only chili we put into that sauce. It's a very easy one, a little bit of honey in there to sweeten. Now, the reason why I created that, I'm obsessed with garlic. It could be raw, it could be pickled. I take it off the ground, wash it and eat it. That's how weird I can be. I can eat like an apple. So you don't want to come near me, especially with my breath smelling of garlic. And I'm also a big fan of a hot sauce company in America. I'm trying to think how they pronounce their name. The Torchbearer, I think we go out as Torchbearer.
Torchbearer
We do
sauce.
some really funky sauces.
Yeah.
But we do a garlic one. And I went through bottles of that. So our local chili shop in Leeds, which is the chili shop by Frank, I bought so many bottles off him. I thought, I need to stop buying, start making one. So we did. And my girlfriend Emma, who you saw yesterday doing the chip challenge, she said to me, "Why don't you go and make it a red sauce?" And I thought, well, I don't really want to play with colouring, so we went with a beetroot idea. Also thickened it. Took us around about 3 months to get it right, but once we got it right, it went out. It started selling really well, and we kept it on the market. Originally, I only wanted to do this now and again, so this would have been a seasonal one, and we would have kept the first two as a kind of pre-push market. Now, the name First Date, what do you think personally that could be? When you think first date sauce, you're thinking, would I use that on a first date, maybe?
I'm thinking if you use that on the first date, there may not be a second.
There we go. You hit the nail on the head, mate. That is exactly the reason why. My father's advice to me when I was taking a beautiful lady out was take her somewhere where they put a lot of garlic in the dishes. No other bloke will go near her. Therefore, she'll just fall for you because the looks weren't going to work for me, were it? So I had to go with that line. And it worked. And I thought, first day for a garlic sauce. You're never going to get a second. And that is it. That is the reason why that came out. That artwork's brilliant.
That first date sauce is my go-to for a kebab sauce. And that there's plenty of kebab sauces out there that, complement meat really, really well. But there aren't that many that complement everything else inside the kebab. The beetroot in that, because it's so rich and earthy, carries the meat through, and then you've got the rest of the flavors there. The little tang of vinegar, just that on a salad is just mind blowing. Absolutely mind blowing. May not be your first thought as to what to do with it, but believe me, if you've got a bottle, try it. Stew, appealing to the more mature audience, also recommend the gym mixer. I can see that working. I really can. Even with the garlic there, because it's such an influence with the gin as well. If you've got a good quality gin, game on indeed.
Well, the honey itself sweetens it. So I tried it in this gin and tonic. I was at a beer festival when Stu messaged me saying, "Oh, put it in a gin and tonic." And I thought to myself, that guy's mad. He needs help. And he doesn't live too far from me, so I know plenty of mental institutions that we could get him sectioned into. But I thought, so I'll try it and see. And he's not wrong. It really does work. It's really strange, but it's very tasty. Very,
very good. So, talking of other applications for your products, we had the nuclear squirrel, which we picked up at, I think it was Time Burner. Absolutely great, peanut butter. We did peanut butter cookies with it, and they came out and chili peanut butter cookies. Oh wow, this needs to be a thing. This needs to be a thing. Really, really good.
It is one of the hardest products. This sounds really silly to make because it's also very simple to do. But so much can go wrong. So, for example, today I've had to make a massive batch. So I've had an order for about 24 jars before Christmas to be sent out. And literally, I've cooked it all, done it all. As I washed up, I cut my finger. Of everything, I slipped my finger. on the blender. So yeah, peanut butter. Buy loads, hurt James more.
You were talking about chilies earlier. So you grow your own chilies?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
I don't use my own in my products because of legislations. There's a lot more. So you're looking at stuff like if you use a pesticide, for example, and the type of pesticide you might have used on them chilies, it's a lot harder when it comes to having your health food safety officer come and see, oh, what chilies you, well, what pesticides is it? So what I stick to two. There's the Yorkshire chilies, which is up in York, or just outside York. I also use West land peppers, which, to be honest with you, are fantastic. Absolutely, I know a lot of producers who are using them, and they are good. So they're my go-to for all my chilies now. The ones that I grow is for me, for my pleasure.
So obviously when you're buying chilies, we're not talking like a little bag here. We're talking like kilos and kilos.
Yeah.
So you must have some idea when it comes to developing a new product, what kind of varieties you would want.
Yeah, it's all about taste testing. So it's kind of like a mixology. So you hear cocktail makers always talk about mixology, herbs, spices into drinks to mix it. Now my background is working with cocktails and in bars, and it's all about imagining. So you put garlic into your mind, you can taste it, you're thinking about it, then you add something else to it, see if it works, and it's all down to experimentation. So then you would experiment. Now I produce all my sauces without chilies to start with. Once I've got that flavour background down, that's when I start adding the heat. The heat is the last thing I put into it, because you want the flavour, you want it to be tasty, you want it for your dish, but the heat for me is the last thing. If you want it burning hot, then that's what you're going to produce, a very hot sauce but full of flavour. If you don't want it that hot, for example, the new Bango Mango, I only use a little bit of habanero in that. It's surprising the amount I put in. You can't taste massive heat. You can taste the flavour, and a little bit of habanero does come through, but that's it. There's no burning down your throat, no burning around your mouth. It's pleasant, it's enjoyable.
So
like that chip.
So when you're choosing, like, say you've got a new product in the back burner, you've developed it, and now you're deciding the heat level. Do you toy with that? Do you see how high it can go or how low it can go? Or
well, this is a funny thing. I recently put on my Instagram page about a new sauce that we're bringing out next year. This comes into a jar. We are looking at doing more jars than we are doing bottles, because they're easier to fill. And to be honest with you, I think that's the line we're trying to go down. But we brought this one out, which is what we call pizza sauce. So in this is roasted peppers with roasted garlic and tomatoes. Then we blend it down with some tomato juices and whatnot. Add loads of herbs. And then in this one, this is the reason why it's not released yet, we've got the pain. Now, I only added about 4%, and it blew my head off. So we will be using the pain. So I've got 7 of these that go around my friends, and they taste it for their taste buds, because I've got a lot of friends who are hotheads as well, love the chilies and whatnot. So they'll get it, they'll taste it, they'll tell me, yeah, tweak it down a little bit, or some actually have told me in the past, oh no, keep it that heat, it works. Because even though I might not like a load of heat, I'm not doing it just for myself, I'm doing it for the customer, the consumer itself. I've got to look at it as a business as well as a pleasure. And if they say to me, no, that's the right heat, I get that feedback. And if it's a lot of saying that, then I'll stick to it. And that is bottom line. That's how it works. If somebody thinks that is perfect and it shouldn't be changed, then why change it if they're going to buy it?
And if people want it a little less hot, you could always add passata or something like that to it.
That's it.
Just knock it down a little bit.
This is a strange thing about it. So while it was cooking, obviously, you're tasting constantly, sweating constantly, drinking lots of milk constantly. And I let it cool down, and we got home, did me and Emma, and I decided just to make a little bit of a tuna pasta bake. I thought, I'm just going to add a little bit of this to it. I couldn't taste any heat. It's like it vanished. So adding it to food, especially fatty foods like fish, does knock that heat down anyway. So as a pizza sauce, thinking about the lactose in the cheese, I don't actually think that it needs to go any lower. I think it's probably going to be the right heat. But I've just got to wait now for people to come back and, tell me about it, really.
If they're smiling, you're good. If they're crying, yeah.
They're crying and I'm laughing because that's a thing. I love seeing people in pain.
Oh dear, there's clubs for that. So your Halloween segment, when you came on to the the Halloween festival we did, it was amazing, absolutely amazing. I cannot stress how, and it really didn't happen very often, how speechless I was during that, because okay, what do I do now? So is there kind of a secret actor hiding behind the James that we all know and love? Is there a history of doing plays or drama or?
Yeah. So I say my teen years when I went to college. So from being a kid, all my mates wanted to be either police officers. They wanted to go out and be a plumber, for example. Actually, none of them wanted to be plumbers. Who wants to be a plumber? But people wanted to do these certain jobs. Footballers, rugby players. I wanted to be an animator. I've been obsessed for years about how animation works. So obviously when I went to college, I studied media, which meant I was directing, I was editing, I was acting, everything in films. The only big film I've ever actually been in, and it wasn't a big scene, was The Calendar Girls, in which I played a little farmer's boy walking through the farm. That was the last one, actually, funnily enough. But I did that at college for a while. I did enjoy it. It's just when I got another job working behind a bar, I became a manager and so on, and worked my way up that way. I didn't bother going to university. I took a gap year, then another gap year, and I'm not being. You can see where it's going now, but yeah, I wouldn't change it, but I kind of wish that I did follow it through and went into the animated side, because graphic design and everything else, I've been known to being really good at it, doing poster designs and everything else. And I just don't have the time to do that now, especially with all these markets being closed. Yeah. Believe it or not, now I make stair lifts. That's what I'm doing at the moment. So I'm doing that. I'm producing the sources, but I'm not doing any markets. A lot of people I spoke to, especially a lot of producers, have asked me why I've not gone back out to them, but they keep getting closed off. So it's like, well, you go out there, you don't know who you're going to get. You don't know if someone's going to turn up scared and worried, or I don't want to come near you. So I've said out loud. So the sources have always been a hobby. It's always been a bit of fun, but I've always wanted to make it a big business. It's just very hard. It's one of them things. But slowly and surely, with a bit of hope, that will happen. And hopefully when festivals start up again, it'd be nice to catch up with the people that I met up at the Tyburn and whatnot. And it'd be grand. It would be good.
Yeah, it's funny because, our history is reasonably similar. Back when I was at school, I was in every play. I very nearly ended up going to stage school.
All right.
I'll probably end up on stage as a plank or something now, but I nearly ended up going to stage school. Decided I didn't want to in the end, but I enjoyed, acting in drama and performing. So I went through that. Couple of jobs later on, I got into the pub trade. And eventually, I did, I'm trying to think now, 4 or 5 years as a pub landlord. And there is a lot of performance that goes into that job.
Oh, yeah.
You really have to put on a show. When people walk through the door, it's like, hi, how are you? I haven't seen you for 8, you may not know him for Adam. So
this is it, yeah.
So, I'm really good with faces. I'm terrible with names. So you just put the show on. Then I started chefing, and oh my God, can you act when you chef? You go out there, you're talking to people, going around checking the meals okay. it's a whole
Yeah.
whole level of performance that, looking back now, at the time I didn't realise I was doing it, but looking back now, I look at it and I think, do you know what? Yeah. And I enjoy stuff like this. I like being, you know,
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know.
it's having a bit of banter with people. It's having a bit of fun and trying to throw yourself out there for them to bounce off and enjoy it. You know, if they're just sat there watching, you might as well be putting EastEnders on. You know what I mean? If you don't want entertainment, you're better off watching this. This is fantastic on your screen right now.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we should be doing. And me and you, believe it or not, we are very close in that sort of sense. Because once again, you know, I was looking. My old man, he was a brewer. He opened a brewery. He opened a few pubs. So obviously, from a small kid, I've been in that trade, but I didn't want to be in that trade, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And slowly, you kind of get pulled in.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. And this is the thing, you learn so much.
Oh yeah.
And you don't realise that you go into another job, you're taking a bit of everything you've learned and you're throwing it in there as well. And it's the same thing. So if I go to a market and a punter comes up to me and they start talking to me, I'm not going to be shy, because it's just like having someone coming up to a bar asking for a beer.
Yeah.
You're talking to them, you're being polite to them, and in a sense, you wanting to be friends with them. You know, there's no enemies in the world. Everybody's your friend. You want to talk to everyone. You want to know about their history and where they've come from. Because half the time, especially with the jerking off, the strange story on that one was when I opened the bar in Bradford, you know, I brought a lot of the Caribbean lot in doing rum. And that's where that jerk seasoning came from. You know what I mean? So them telling me, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. It created that product. They helped me. And if I didn't talk to them, that wouldn't have ever happened.
Awesome.
You know? So you learn so much.
Definitely. Like you say, you don't really have enemies. You just have friends you haven't met yet.
Yeah.
So.
What is that?
Yeah.
And that's a good thing about this, about the Nuke Heads. They've created a page, you know, Tony and Del. They've created this amazing group of people that it's just awesome. You know, you can watch people do lives, people dressing up as women doing lives, which I thought were funny. I saw that this morning on my way to work. So I started work at 5 this morning. 4 o'clock, I'm sat in my van watching this live thing that someone's done last night. I'm thinking, what the hell's going on there? You know, and that got me going for the day. That got me giggling away, it woke me up, and that's what I like about this group. This group is fantastic, it really is. And what they've done is absolutely fantastic as well. The producers, all the producers that I've met, unbelievable. You know, I always thought it'd be like the pub trade, you know, you go into a pub, you want to see what they're doing. Oh, might do that. Not at all. They're helping you out. I wouldn't have done this if it wasn't for Joe from Howl at the Moon. I turned up to his house to pick up some sausages that I was selling at a market for him. Well, not for him, for me. I would buy them to sell them. I wanted to see how it would work. And he just said to me, why aren't you doing it? So I went home and started cooking. I thought, you know something, he's right. And I wouldn't have done that if I didn't meet these people. You know, I'd probably still be in the pub trade doing nothing because we're all shut.
So I'm yet to eat this evening. I've got something coming after this, so I'm looking forward to that. But what would be a typical meal in the Chilliscrumptious house?
Mexico, we do a lot of fajitas. Emma's, I always say Emma's from France. She's not. She was born in the UK, but she grew up in France.
Mm-hmm.
Her best mate grew up in Spain. So obviously we do a lot of Spanish and French style food. So for example, tonight we're doing a really cheesy dish. It's also quite English because it's cauliflower, but still a really nice cheesy dish, and we're putting lardons in there, putting lots of chorizo in there and chicken and whatnot. We make it totally different to how you would get it if you went to a restaurant, for example. But yeah, so for us, wraps, I'm a big fan of Italian food. I love me pastas, me pizzas. I love making pasta. Not a lot of people will say they like it because it's not easy, especially if you're doing sheeted. Other from that, I'm from Bradford. So there's a lot of Indian food. My favourite curry, and don't tell anybody, I know nobody's watching this, but is a korma. I love the cokey, creamy flavour and no heat at all. And I wake up in the morning with no pain. There you go, you see.
Recently I've started dabbling with different curries, and the Karai is my favourite at the moment.
Yeah.
There is an absolute monster amount of flavour in that. Very little heat. Very little heat.
Right, okay.
So it's quite pepper and onion based. You do it in in a Karai, which is like the Indian wok. For those who don't know. You cook it off, use some tikka in there, get some flavour in there. There's loads of good Karai recipes on YouTube and stuff. Find one you like the look of. Take you about 25 minutes to get it cooked, start to finish, and you'll sit down and you'll be like, my God, so much flavour. And if you want heat, this is where chili sauces, chili pickles, they can help.
This is it. I mean, I make some pickles myself, not obviously to sell, but to eat ourselves. But if I was to make a curry, now korma is not one I would make. It's one I would physically buy if I were at a different end of the world, shall we say. I'd probably say a handy. Have you ever tried a handy? A sag handy? So your spinach, it's quite tomatoey based, but with quite a lot of masala sort of spices into it. That's very nice.
Not one I've tried.
Sag.
I shall definitely make a point of checking that out.
Do, man.
I'm done with this evening. Because I've got a risala coming. So again, big flavour packed dish. Not all that hot. So,
right.
Some days you just want the flavour. Some days you want to burn. So,
yeah. Well, this is it, isn't it? Sometimes you just want that little bit of heat to get them endorphins going crazy. But I always say it's each of their own. My family, my mother's Scottish. She does not like heat whatsoever. So I grew up in a family that liked a lot of fatty, cheesy food. So mostly Italian food is what I got brought up with as a kid. So way it is, I suppose.
So if you could pick one thing in the world, could be food, could be an object, could be a building, could be a person. One thing to chilli up, what would it be and why?
Oh, that's a good question, is that? I like it. So to chilli up. So a cheesecake. I'll tell you why. Because it'd be weird, wouldn't it? You'd be eating a cheesecake thinking, this is nice, and next minute, blow your head off. Maybe something like a Biscoff cheesecake.
Oh, yeah.
With some hidden little streaks of Reaper in the biscuit base.
Wow.
For them people who like to eat the cheese first and the biscuit last.
They'd regret that. Look, they'd
regret
going that way round, wouldn't they?
That's it, man, isn't it?
Awesome. Absolutely awesome. So I think to end our chat this evening, tell us about the funniest moment that you've had on your chili journey.
Funniest moment? I did a charity festival in Haworth, which is just around the corner from us, and I had this big beastie man walk up going, "Oh, you got chili sauces?" I'm like, "Yeah, different ones. You got to try some." And he tried a few. He goes, "I can try really hot stuff, me. I'm big and hard." And he tried vinegar sauce. Now, vinegar sauce for me is a 6 out of 10. It's not extreme. He literally had the tiniest little bit on a corn chip. Went to the ice cream stall next to me. Got an ice cream and he stood outside, and all he was doing in the window was this. Right at me. And all I could do was laugh. All I could think of is this big macho man, where I've had young children try it and go, "That's not hot," and walk away. There was this big boasty man. I'm thinking to myself, at the end of this event, I'm going to get beaten up outside. He's like waiting for me in car park,
Oh dear. Awesome. So just to show.
Yeah, the cherry bomb. You're the only one with one. Well, actually, me and you have one. Frank at the chili shop was very upset when he sold the last bottle. He was trying to save it for himself and he got rid of it. He asked me to produce some just for him. I said no, only for the Thai burner, and it wasn't on this year, so I didn't produce any.
No,
Where it is?
Yeah, I'm saving that one.
It's tasty, but remember, there's a lot of alcohol in it, so the longer you keep it, the stronger it'll get.
Oh dear,
You'll be drunk.
Sounds terrible. Well, I think we're gonna have to say goodbye now. And
no, that's fine.
Yeah, make sure to check out chilliscrumptious.co.uk. The address is there on the bar. Make sure you've written that down. And yeah, check out James's goodies.
And just one last thing before I shoot off. Our artist, Si Mitchell, this is one of his t-shirts that he does. He's absolutely crazy. If you like our artwork, get down and look at his website. It's simitchell.co.uk. He's got a little shop there. I know a few people love it, but all the artwork, posters and stuff. Get it checked. Support local business.
Fantastic.
And enjoy yourselves.
So we'll speak again soon, James, but for now...
Definitely, pal, yeah, definitely. Once again, nice evening, mate. Thank you very much for letting me get involved.
No worries.
It's been a pleasure to be sat next to you again. Well,
pleasure to talk to you.
I wish you were sat here.
Give you a cuddle. Yeah. Speak soon.
All right, talk to you soon, mate. Good night.
So that was James from Chilliscrumptious. Always great to speak with James. He's a lovely guy. He really is. You need to go check out his products if you have not done so already. I've just had to turn a fan on. I hope it's not blowing in the microphone, but yeah, it's getting kind of warm in here. Heating's on. So we're going to move across now. And we're going to speak to Mark from La Mole Hot Sauce and Jerky. Good evening, Mark.
Hello.
How are you,
Hi,
sir?
Alex. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Hope all is well with you.
Yeah, not too bad, apart from the wind and the the weather in general up here. It's quite extreme. It's a little bit chilly, a little bit windy, but yeah, we're doing okay.
It's funny you should say that. While I was looking, because obviously let's show the people first, right? This is one of Mark's bottles. Now, if you look at the top here, it's got a flag. Okay. Now, I looked at that flag and I was scratching my head a bit, and I ended up going to Google in the end because I thought it's not a Scandinavian flag. It's not from, but it kind of looks like. And so I'm Googling it, and I find out that Caithness, which is where you are, has got its own flag. So I learned something. Then today, while I was putting the questions together, I had a little Google about Caithness, and I looked at the average temperature up there during the summer, and it's 16.
We need hot sauce to warm 16. Yeah. If we get 20 degrees, it is taps off. You know, that's it, man. It's party time. We're all on the beaches, everything. Yeah, so, 16's that's a good day, actually. 16 degrees is, for summertime, is good. I think we're actually, I'm not sure, but I think we are kind of above Oslo, above Moscow in terms of the line. We're pretty cold. I mean, the water is a bit warmer, keeps us, a bit warmer, but it's cold up here. Yeah,
it kind of led me into the question, really. Right? Do you grow your own chilies up there?
No, I have got. There's a lady I used to work with, and she's got a polytunnel, and she does do some. So we're using some of them. What we have to do quite often is obviously it's bringing all the chilies up here, and it's trying to keep that keep the flavour the same throughout. Or you don't want one sauce going out, the next batch being a different sauce. So we try and keep a mixture of dried chilies and fresh. So we want that freshness, we want that heat. So if we tried to grow reapers up here, even in a polytunnel, we just wouldn't get that heat. I don't use reapers, but I use Naga ghosts. But so we'll have to get that all sent up here, really.
Yeah, I was interested because there are a couple of chili groups that I'm in, and there are people in Scotland who commented like the growing season up there is like 3 or 4 weeks each side shorter than people sort of in the Midlands or down south.
Yeah.
And I was just curious because I know places. I think Yucca Fatali has got like heated glass houses and the rest of it, and of course he's quite high on the latitude there, so he's going to get a similar kind of growing season as the north of Scotland. So yeah, I was just curious if you had like a kind of indoor hydroponic setup, or whether it was.
I wish. Maybe in the future, hopefully. But to give you an example, you mentioned the Midlands there. I think it's within about 10 miles. So from me driving from here to Edinburgh is the same as someone driving from Edinburgh to Birmingham.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's how far north we are. It's the end of the earth. It really is. We're just a hop over to the Orkney Islands. We're just a few miles down from John O'Groats. Yeah.
We'll get on to the Orkneys and Shetland in a bit, because I've made that connection, figured out, good Lord, this is where he is. It's like, a short commute to get across, and yeah. So that led me to then Googling, like Google Maps, distance calculator. You are 666 miles away from where I am sat now.
Yes.
This to me is a sign that you are creating something devilish. Okay.
Well, we're trying. I mean, in the last talk there, was, James was mentioning his mother Scottish and he doesn't like hot sauces. So that's the kind of battle we're having up here sometimes. Is quite a new thing, these extreme hot sauces. I don't go very extreme when I make hot sauce, but I'll tell you about my background later on. But it's more about sort of introducing flavors. It's not about the heat so much, it's more about the flavor and how to use that flavor, and use it as a condiment or a basting or a cooking sauce, and trying to get people just build their tolerance up a little bit. We've got the voodoo sauce, which is, I mean, it still makes me cry. I have to taste it every time I'm making it, so I've got my tolerance up a little bit. Oh, there you go. Yeah, there, that's the one. And so I mean, there's about 3. It might not be much for the hotheads out there, but 3 ghost chilies per bottle. So it's a good. It's probably for you guys, it's maybe a 5 out of 10. It's decent. It's got a good punch. But for most people up here, I mean, the tears, the sweats, everything. So it's. We've only just been started a few weeks ago, really. Got the actual bottles out and getting people aware of what we're doing. And it's actually going down very well, especially I think the branding with the Caithness flag. It's made here, and the jerky as well. It's local butchers we're using the jerky. It's trying to just, it's made here. It's nothing, coming from outside. It's, it's kind of support your local sort of business. So that's what we're trying to market that side of it.
Definitely. While we're talking about jerky, I had this written down, it's a nice little segue. Let's talk about the and jerky part of the name. What prompted you to start doing jerky? Is it a big thing in Scotland?
It is and it isn't. It's becoming something that's people are really starting to really appreciate now, I think. It was actually, I started the hot sauce business. I mean, I've been doing hot sauces for a couple of years now, and I recently, there you go. Thank you very much for the product placement. I've got new labels now as well, so we'll discuss that a bit later on. But yeah, that's the triplets. So the jerky's always, we use the same hot sauces for the marinades. So we're giving the same sort of flavor, sort of complements as hot sauces. It was actually my wife's brother. He lives in London. He said, I eat a lot of jerky. He said, "Can you do jerky?" I was like, "I've done it before. Is it a thing?" Oh my goodness! Is it like, you know, down south? It's a massive thing, and we're looking for really good products. The stuff you get, being very honest, the stuff I've had in the past, it's always been packet stuff out of you know, the supermarkets and stuff. It's kind of this rubbery, kind of strange sort of texture, and it doesn't really feel like real beef. So I got in contact with a couple of artisan makers and tried the real stuff. I thought, my goodness, I love this stuff. How do I do this? So research, trial and error, and kind of got there eventually. So now I've got a few people down south that take it. I'm selling it to local stores up here as well. So it's starting to progressively. It takes us a little bit of time to catch up with the sort of the new ideas that are, you know, the new sort of flavors that are going around up here. It does take a little bit of time to come up here.
It's obviously, if you go across the pond, you know, America, Canada, jerky, you're tripping over it left, right, and centre. It's a massive thing over there. Over here, you kind of, like you say, it's kind of just creeping into the
consciousness,
the general mainstream purchasing habit. Biltong as well. You see biltong popping up now and again, and it's a great snack. You know, it's high in protein, it's low in fat, full of flavour. I don't get why it isn't massive over here. I think
it might get there. I think it'll get there eventually. I think it's one of those slow burning products that I think maybe people might be put off with the mass produced stuff. So it's just trying to get people to try the, you know, when it's done properly. It's an old technique from the you know, the North Americans would do it with their elk and deer and things like that. And like you said, it's massive in America. So I've joined a lot of groups in the past doing jerky, and these guys, I've been inspired. We have a lot of pheasant here. I mean, we have almost as pets. We can go and just feed the pheasants outside. So I'll use them for jerky. A lot of deer up here, deer hearts. Everything the Americans they're just so into it, and it's incredible what you can do. Yeah, it's just anything lean and meaty, they all put in a jerky. Yeah,
I think the most, you know, obviously you've got venison up there. You've got loads and loads of different sort of game animals
season just now as well. Yeah,
which you could use. I think the most country orientated jerky I've had so far was maple buffalo bacon, which was obviously designed for Canada.
Sounds good.
And bacon jerky. Who'd have thought? You know.
I know the problem is I do it for myself, like the game birds and things like that. Now the problem I think was with the, you know, the environmental health of the HO not too happy because you have that temperature you've got to bring it to. So you've got to bring it above 78 degrees centigrade in this country. In America, they do it slower. So it's around about 68 to 70 degrees centigrade, 140 degrees Fahrenheit, I think it is. Something like that. It's quite very, very low, but you couldn't sell it here. So that kind of thing, the game stuff, I have to eat it myself. Whereas beef, you can take it to the higher temperature. It will keep it should bend and not snap. And you can get that, you can bring it up to that temperature. So it's all, it's one of those things that I think it will. It's going to be it's a labour of love at the moment. It takes a lot of time. People can't get in my oven. It's just one of those things. It's something I love doing, and I've got a few customers at the moment, and it's doing okay.
So you sent me a little bit of backstory about yourself and, you know, your history. You're traveling around the world, yourself and your wife, and kind of, you know, what filled me in a bit, if you like, with a little bit of detail there. So your sauces, you have your chipotle, which is absolutely cracking. Okay, I've used that as a sauce. I've used it as a marinade.
Wow.
Hunter's chicken. So bacon wrapped chicken, cheese inside. Chipotle sauce on the inside and all over the top for the last 10 minutes. Marinated, cooked down, gorgeous. You've got your barley sauce, your Tripoli sauce, and your voodoo sauce. Now, obviously, Tripoli, barley, people kind of locate them on a map. Tell us about the voodoo sauce.
The voodoo. So I've never been much of a sort of hothead, really. I really got into chili, sort of hot sauces and chilies. We lived in Spain for a few years, and my daughter was born down there. And it's quite a big Venezuelan community. My wife's Venezuelan, and one of her friends, my friend as well now, for the first time said, we were eating arepas, he said, try this sauce. I said, what's this? It was the first real hot sauce I actually enjoyed. It was Valentino. I don't know if you've tried that before. Valentino. It's probably one of the most recognized in Mexico and South America. And it is, you have a red, the orange label, I think is, and the black label. The black label is the hot stuff. So I started in the hot stuff. And the first time I had it, I had the sweats and the tears and the red face like a lobster. I thought this is the best thing I've ever tried. So for me, the voodoo sauce I've always wanted to try and replicate that and maybe even give it a bit more punch. So it's very, very simple, the voodoo. It's just basically naga ghosts, red bell peppers, garlic, a little bit of vinegar and a bit of honey. So it's almost got a little sriracha. It's not too sweet though. It's just trying to balance those flavors. I don't want pure heat just for the sake of pure heat. I really want some flavors that people can identify with, and it's trying to recreate that umami flavor for me. But I want to go back in and dive back in and add a bit more and a bit more. And obviously, the more people do that, the more they buy, the more they can eat it. So for me, that's so my wife, like I said, she's Venezuelan. In Venezuela, people maybe don't know, it has the largest Caribbean coastline. So that's where the voodoo sort of thing came from. The Caribbean is quite heavily influenced. She's from Punto Fijo, which is it's basically 30 miles from Aruba. And so, you've got Cuba up the road and Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago is just down the bottom next to near Caracas. So it's all very well, so it's all linked. So that's the inspiration for that sauce.
Awesome. So you mentioned to me, like in your background info you sent over, that you're kind of the equivalent of travel wise of Judith Chalmers. You've been round the world twice. So in your travels, obviously these particular ones, chipotle sauce, kind of a barbecue sauce. Who doesn't love a barbecue sauce? Mm-hmm. You've obviously picked barley, Tripoli, and this kind of Spanish Venezuelan influence for your other three sauces. How do you travel around, and how do you identify like a flavor or a particular thing, a food theme, if you like, in a country that you go, I want to make that, I want to turn that into something?
Yeah, well, my background is I left school when I was 16, and I was a chef full time until I was 30. But when I was 25, I went to college and got qualifications. I went to university when I was 26 and studied Arabic at University of Edinburgh and done my MA there. So that gave me the opportunity to travel. So I went to actually live in Egypt and studied in Egypt for a while. My goodness, back in 2006. Yeah. And I never traveled much before then, because I was a chef. You don't get holidays, you don't get time off. When you get time off, you go and sleep for a week or go to the pub for a week. It's one of the two. So that kind of opened my eyes to all these flavors out there. As being a chef, I was kind of classically trained. It was restaurants and hotels and around about Edinburgh area. I've done a lot of work there, so it's mainly French influences. So when I went to Egypt, I got the chance to move to go and visit Libya. I've always been a big fan of the Roman artifacts, and they've got a lot of amazing Roman structures across here. And this one sauce, it was filfel chuma. It's called filfel or pilpel chuma, which basically means in Arabic chilies and garlic. And I tried it for the first time. I thought, oh my god, this is rocket fuel. But the more you have it, the tolerance builds up, and the flavors that kind of just pop all over the mouth, the front to the bottom to the back to everywhere. It was one of the things I had a lot. I lived in Saudi Arabia as well, and had Libyan friends. And everyone has their own version of like a harissa. It's kind of like a harissa. But anyway, that was one of the things when I started doing the hot sauce business. I wanted to really try and replicate it, but obviously you can't, because there's certain things in it that I can't put, and certain things I have to put in it, like vinegar, that bring the pH balance down below that sort of 4.0. So that was the reason. That was one of the inspirations behind the Tripoli. And then last year I came back to Scotland, but I was living in Kuala Lumpur and living in Bali, which was just incredible, mind blowing. Went up, traveled to Thailand and Hong Kong and a lot of places, but for me, Bali was one of the places, and my wife, the food was just out of this world. It was kind of like Thai, but it had some sort of Indian influences, because it's a Hindu island. It's not a Muslim island like most of Indonesia, and so I was trying to replicate those flavors. And I mean, there's the kind of you think of a sauce from Bali, it would actually be a sambal. That would be the traditional sort of sauce, which is kind of made with fermented fish sauces and things, and it's very, very punchy and very hot. But you can replicate it, but it's a little bit more intricate and difficult. And sometimes, in some ways, I didn't want to kind of say this is my sambal, because sambal is so good, and every family in Indonesia has their own sambal. So I wanted to try and those flavors with a lot of pineapple, caramelized pineapple, turmeric, holy basil. It's a big flavor, like in Thailand as well. And just try to take those flavors from, like, they have a lovely duck dish, which is something that's very famous across here, and try to take those flavors from that sauce and trying to put it in my own sauce. So that's the inspiration behind the barley as well. So yeah, it's just kind of, I've got more ideas about other things that I could do, but those were the Tripoli is my favorite sauce, probably. The barley is a great thing for, like, fish tacos and stir fries and nasi goreng, those kind of, even pizza. My wife likes a pineapple pizza. I don't usually put pineapple on a pizza, so I give her the hot sauce. So it's kind of this, it's a real big punch of pineapple, and it's a medium, probably maybe a lower heat for some Chilli-heads out there, but for the average person, it's a solid sort of 5 out of 10 sort of heat in the sauce.
No, it sounds good, and obviously I haven't opened those bottles yet, but I will get round to them, and I'm very much looking forward to doing so. You mentioned earlier that the hothead scene, the Chilli-head scene in the north there, isn't as big as perhaps you might hope. Okay. I can think of two people straight away, Heather and James, who are just, I mean, they're fire eaters, these two. Okay, they're both up in Scotland. I'm not sure whereabouts they are, because obviously it's the internet, but but I know there is a little community that they're in up there who like their hot stuff. Are there any, like, festivals, or is there a anything maybe in the Orkneys or Shetland?
No, not really. I mean, because of COVID, a lot of those farmers markets have been cancelled. Even though we've not really been affected, we've been so lucky up here. We're in the lowest tier, and there's no recorded deaths up here. So we've been lucky, but at the same time, there's nothing happening. So my nearest city is 2-hour drive away, which is Inverness.
Right.
And it's not exactly a big city as well. So I'm kind of trailblazing up here, trying to get the word out, getting a lot of testers out, and getting people sort of interested in it. Whether that be a dare to eat the voodoo sauce, or just introducing something like the Tripoli, that that garlic punch for people that are new to the sauce. It's difficult, but I'm enjoying it though. At the same time, it's good seeing people's reactions to like, this, what the hell is that? But people are coming back for it, so that's a good thing. We're more in retail. You were our first online buyer. But we have got some nice shops up here that are actually retailing it now, and just building on the retail. Not so much. We don't have a budget for marketing, so the online sales are very slow at the moment, to be fair. But yeah.
one of the reasons I started doing sauce reviews was because I'm very conscious of the fact that, you know, the producers are one, maybe occasionally two people businesses. And until you get considerably bigger, advertising budget is just something you don't have. You know, you're putting money back in for equipment, for ingredients.
It is straight back in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was quite conscious of that. And I thought, well, how can I help? You know, what can I do to make a difference? So I thought, well, if I do some reviews, you know, we've got all these sources, we've been to these festivals and picked loads up. If I do some reviews, then maybe they can use them to kind of, you know, here's an independent person saying this is what we think
It's
about
so
that
important,
product.
Alex. Yeah.
So, you know, that was one of my reasons for actually starting doing it, because I know that, you know, any not just sauce producers, any one person business, it's so tight. You know, the margins are so tight, everything is so tight. You just haven't got the money to spend. So, yeah, it's one of the reasons we do stuff like the festivals. It's one of the reasons we do stuff like this, is to get people, you know, get you out, get you.
It's so we appreciate it so much. And also the awards coming up. We're going to apply for the barbecue sauce one coming in January, so I'll get samples out to you for that. But yeah, we really the one thing being so new to, I mean, I'm one of the newest members, I think, to Nuke, has been kind of the love out there. It's been so nice. Everyone's so friendly. It's just like, listen, I left Facebook a long time ago and I came back, you know, to try and network and get involved in things.
Yeah,
you guys just honestly, you blow me away how nice you've all been, and supportive, and it's just an incredible community. I just want to say thank you to yourself and Vicky, you know, for helping me out as well.
Yeah, not a problem at all. Not a problem at all. I mean, the whole thing with Nuke is a family. You know, there are dozens and dozens of other chili groups, and they're all good in their own way. Some better than others, but they're all good in their own way. But we're not just about who can swallow the hottest sauce and eat the hottest whatever. We realise that there are very many levels on people's chili journey, and if you're just starting off and the only thing you've ever had was maybe a little bit of Cholula, you know, maybe a little bit of Tabasco or something on your cheese on toast, but you kind of like the feeling. Stuff like your chipotle sauce is a really good gateway sauce to get people into the, you know, the artisan produced stuff, because it isn't crazy hot. You know, it's full of flavor. People are going to want to use it. They're going to open it, they'll taste it, and they, you know, there's loads of producers do really, really good sauces. So the whole thing about Nuke is appreciate each other for what, you know, for the people we are, rather than, you know, judge each other by some burning fire stick. But yeah, without the producers, we wouldn't have the product. So it's kind of symbiotic, really. Just, I think, looking at the time, we've got probably I've got a couple of questions here. So with so many global influences, okay, bearing in mind you are, you know, if you were a suitcase, you'd be covered head to toe in stickers. You're well traveled. Given that, what would a typical meal be in the Lamole house?
Jeez. Oh, we actually eat. Last night's dinner was an ottolenghi recipe, so it's kind of it was a Jewish-inspired rice dish. We are, it's so varied. I mean, I made stovies last week for my dad, mum and dad. I don't know what stovies is. It's basically boiled potatoes, onions, and any leftover meat that you've got. And we had Venezuelan food a couple of days ago. We have, I mean, it's so varied. It's, my wife's a fantastic chef, and I like to cook as well for the family. Mum's a great chef. So we all have so many influences. And I had gammon steak the other day, and my mum, I gave her the barley sauce, which is the pineapple sauce, to her 2 weeks ago, and I thought, oh, it's going to be too hot for her to put on a gammon steak. And she asked me 2 nights ago, can I have more of that sauce? And that was one of the best reviews I've had in my life. My mother doesn't like chilies at all. She hates hot sauce. So we're that varied. It could be anything from boiled beef to an Israeli sort of a dish to Venezuelan arepas. I suppose it really does vary that much. There's so much variation in the house. My wife's born in Spain. My daughter's born in Spain as well, and English and Scottish and all the rest. So there's a lot of influences in the house.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just looking at the time.
Yes.
So I think we better end our fireside. Don't disappear though, because I stay where you are. And I'll bring you back in. I've got a couple of questions that I want to ask, which I'll do off camera. So thank you ever so much for joining us.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Alex.
Lots of people were very appreciative that you took the time to have a chat.
That was a pleasure.
So thank you. And I'm just going to drop you out the stream for a second. But like I say, don't disappear.
I'll be here.
I'll sign off and I'll be back.
Okay. Thanks, Alex.
No worries. So that was Mark from La Mole. Check him out at lamole.company.site. That should take you through to his website, and you can have a look at the sauces and the jerkies there. Thank you all for joining us this week. Obviously, Vicky started the week. You've had to put up with me at the end of the week, but it's been absolutely wonderful to see you all. I'm thinking about doing something like this in the new year. Okay, we're on the run up to Christmas now. We've got lots going on. But I'm thinking about doing something like this in the new year. So it would be great to hear from you who you would like to see. Pester the producers, get them to sign up for it. And we can have some more firesides. Maybe beachside, I think, might be nice in the summer. But thank you for watching. It's been awesome. It has been awesome. And I will see you all again soon. Take care.